Hello everyone, I'm back again today with another live but shorter video because I just got the news that the folks who make the Nano KVM, which you guys probably been hearing a lot from me lately, they've just started taking pre-orders on the Nano KVM Pro. And that's the one I've been excited for. That does have the 4K loopback on it so that when you're plugging into a computer to control remotely, that you can still pass the video through to the monitor. Now, you're still going to have to figure out a separate internet connection for it. It doesn't have a loop back for that. But pre-orders just started right now. I was late to the game on the Jet KVM and even GLINet's Comet, and I was very skeptical, even with the Nano KVM, that these were real products that were actually shipping. And in fact, they are, and they are real. Sipeed, or I'm not sure how you say their name, the folks who make the Nano KVM certainly offer you the best value. And it looks like I came in on the tail end of the Nano KVM because it was already on Amazon and still is if you want to purchase one. But the KVM Pro, the Nano KVM Pro, looks better than the Comet and the Jet KVM and the previous Nano KVM. Now, I want to go through the website. I want to show you. This is brand new, just announced, and that's why I didn't want to wait to bring this information to you. So let me jump over here to my browser, and we're going to take you to Sipeed's website here, and we have a link to this if you want to order one now, because they'll start shipping orders. If you order in May, they'll ship it in June. If you order it next month in June, they'll ship it, I guess, in August. So let's take a quick look at the site together. And if you look, you'll see the Pro line. Now, of course, they have a USB line, a PCIe, and a Cube. Now, the Cube is what we've been getting. That's just the regular Nano KVM that you've seen here before. The PCIe is internal for desktops, more of a permanent type fixture, versus the Cube, which is external and you can move it around. The USB is strictly for crash carts when you're in front of a server that has no keyboard, mouse, or monitor, and you can plug in from a laptop, typically on a wheeled cart, into the server room, plug into the server, and access it through the laptop with a few cables. So what we're interested in is the Pro line, and the Pro line offers an internal card and the external sort of elongated, bigger Cube, because it does so much more. It does 4K now instead of just 1080, which that's not important to me. And if we scroll down and look at this together, it says, of course, the same advertising. You can access your computer from anywhere. You can use either the internal PCIe card or the external. You wouldn't use both of these, at least one for each computer, basically. I've ordered one of each today. What's interesting is they have different flavors of each one. Now, some of the different, where this varies and where it's improved, is they have the resolution up to 4K 30 or 2K 60. The remote power still is there and included. Multi-output with 4K capture and 4K loop out. Nobody's offering that. They're the only ones. It does offer Wi-Fi or power over Ethernet as options that you can add on at additional cost. It is open source with the GitHub community there. You can switch between Nano KVM system and Pi KVM system. And of course, they offer it both internally and externally. So that way you can use it in a rack-mounted professional environment or home system. It has a screen on the front, which I think they're mostly having fun with. You mainly just need your IP address. Everything else is just for fun. The screen sync LED strip, I guess, is some kind of, I don't know, LED that goes behind the monitor that reflects against the wall. But if you're remote, I don't understand the point of that. And Smart Assistant, I don't know much about that yet. But this single unit can connect to multiple KVMs optionally with additional accessories, so that's new. So again, if you had a server with multiple servers in a single rack, one unit then could control multiple units. I am super excited about this, which is why I did not want to wait to make a video. I don't care again about the 4K, but the network upgrade, it's still going to be 100 megabit. It is not gigabit like the Comet, but you don't need that. It's overkill. They've sped up the processing time. So now the latency went from anywhere from what was 100 to 150 milliseconds, or a tenth of a second. It's cut that in half now. So it should seem a little more responsive, a little faster. Not that that's really been a complaint of mine, but faster and more responsive is always a good thing. The 4K loop out is going to be a big deal. That way you can plug in the KVM where your monitor would normally go in the back of your computer, and then plug your monitor into the back of the KVM. But you still have to have a separate network connection for each one. There's some difference here in the different systems. So it supports both the Nano KVM system and Pi KVM system, which is more for professional server maintenance. We'll hopefully see a better built case than what we saw with the Nano KVM, which was a very cheap 3D printed case. I hope that this case is better quality, but it really has no impact on how it works. They have an open application programmer interface, or API, for the liquid crystal display, or as they put, LCD, liquid crystal display. Okay, I'm being a nerd. There's the internal card installed, and it can run, you know, there's your Ethernet plug, there's your loop back for your HDMI, and then USB for power, USB for keyboard and mouse. You could also provide power through PoE if you order that option. This is what the unit's going to look like. These are their pre-production models. Status, the time, CPU usage, which I'm guessing is the CPU usage of the device, not of the computer. Some description of the ports on the back. The UART here is for serial terminals. So in other words, if you were connecting to other Nano KVMs, for example. This does show it has a gigabit internet, but up at the top it showed 100. So again, I don't really care too much about that. We've got an input and an output on the HDMI, 5-volt power input as USB 3, and you can connect to the host just as a virtual keyboard and mouse while simulating a keyboard and mouse with our NDIS networks. So without getting too complicated, if we scroll down, I want to show you the trick to pre-ordering one of these. You can even use AIDA64 on the screen if you want to, which I guess would then be displaying, well, I guess that would be displaying the computer you're connected to. But again, you won't be able to see this, right? Because this is supposed to be remote. This would be somewhere else. In theory, you're controlling it from another location. So I'm not quite sure who the screen is for. I think it's there mostly for fun. And again, the LED strip seems to serve no purpose for all I can tell. It's a simple add-on. I don't know what Smart Assistant is, nor do I care at this point. But what's great is they show you a comparison against their competitors, the GLINet Comet KVM, or GXX, they don't name it, and then the Jet KVM, or JXX KVM. And for some reason, they've misspelled DDR to be DRR3, but I've made them aware of it. Hopefully they'll fix it. It's a minor typo. So these are the ones I've been using. I've also got one of each of the Jet KVM and the Comet KVM. Now they go through a whole listing of differences between them, which I think is brilliant. I love that you can look through. Yeah, it actually does show that is gigabit here. Didn't I see it say it was 100 megabit up at the top? Let me check again. I swear. I was a little saddened when I read that. Wasn't it here? Multi-network. It says gigabit Ethernet right there. And the option for Wi-Fi, which is fantastic because only the internal PCIe KVM Nano KVM had the option for Wi-Fi. The external one did not. Don't know where I saw that. I swear it said 100 megabit. All right, well, it's gigabit. All right, so there we go. Let's say you want to pre-order one of these bad boys. You know, there's a little bit about the GitHub community, their documents that are online, their email address. Let's go way up to the top of the page and hit pre-order, because I want to show you it's a little tricky to pre-order. On the left side is the internal card, just the card with Wi-Fi. See the picture changes, so now you have an antenna. The card without Wi-Fi but power over Ethernet, which looks identical because it's nothing you really see, is it? Probably have the same picture. Or the whole shebang, so you have Wi-Fi and power over Ethernet. And look at the prices, they're discounted right now. I'm not paid to make this video, I'm just super excited about this product. Now, what I'm interested in specifically is the cube. or this with a, they're both considered a Pro. There's the Pro internal PCIe, and then there's the Pro external. And I am most interested in what they're calling the desk. Okay, so the desk with Wi-Fi is what I'm interested in. It only adds $6 to it. The desk with power over Ethernet, which I wouldn't use, adds $10. And if you want the Wi-Fi and the PoE included, it adds a total of $95. If you want to buy the sync, the screen sync, you have to click on this box and it highlights. That's the part that was confusing me because I don't see the option to add any quantity until you click it. So I don't want that. Then you have to click your shipping area. So for me, that'll be the Americas. That adds $15 for shipping. And then you also have to click your tariff if you're in the US. So to order just a plain Jane, well, no, to order it fully decked out right now as a pre-order, which is the unit with Wi-Fi and power over Ethernet, $95 plus $15 shipping plus an additional 5% tariff. Then you select next and fill in your shipping info. And when you continue to payment, you have the option to pay with PayPal. And orders placed in May are expected to ship in July. Oh, in July, not in June. So if you order it now, you'll get it in July. If you ordered in June, you'll get it, should be getting it sometime in August. If you want to order bulk amounts, then you want to reach out to them personally to get a discounted price for bulk orders. And of course, you can follow them on x.com, previously known as Twitter, which is where I learned of this. But the whole thing that threw me was when I hit the pre-order now button, it let me advance to the next page without selecting this additional, one of these boxes I did not click on. I wish there were check boxes. I don't like this interface. So it kept rejecting, saying I had an inconsistent address on the next page, and I could not figure out why, and it wasn't leading me to the answer. In fact, it should not have let me advance until I had selected everything. Now again, it's hard to tell that screen sync is not part of this list. It's when I click on it, it gets a blue highlight around it. I have an issue with this interface, but you can tell by the amount changing if it's being added or not. And for me personally, I don't even want the power over Ethernet. I just want the desk with the Wi-Fi. That'll solve needing to add an extra Ethernet cable. I can just connect this to the Wi-Fi, and hopefully it'll remember the SSID and Wi-Fi settings so I can continue to plug in numerous different, let's say, mini computers to the desktop while leaving the internet hardline cable plugged into the mini without having to run a second hardline internet. What I do now, because I only have the one internet connection, is I'll plug it into the Nano KVM, and then the computer itself will get no internet access until I'm done with the Nano KVM here locally. But if this were to be more permanent, then I definitely want to have two permanent internet connections, and I think the Wi-Fi will solve that for me. So for $85, I do not want the sync strip. I select America, I select ship to the US, then I hit next, and I see a total of 110. I continue to payment, depending on your address and any applicable taxes or other fees, you will get to your total amount. You can pay it with a credit card, you can pay it with PayPal. I chose PayPal, just easier. And you have that peace of mind with PayPal security and service. I'm super excited about it, if you can't tell. And I just wanted to cover that ordering process because it did throw me. I was a little confused as to why it kept saying my address was inconsistent when I didn't see anything wrong with it, and I had to go to the prior page. Very strange. Let me take a quick look in the chat. I think that's pretty much what I wanted to tell you today. That's all of it. And Barry says, I've become a streaming junkie. Well, I'm just reacting to the news. I don't see any YouTube videos on the Nano KVM Pro, and I've been following them on Twitter as they've been talking about it. If you look at sipeed's history of tweets, they make other products, but they've been talking about testing this and showing pictures and teasers of it in numerous stages of development the last few weeks. And I'm like, how can I get my hands on one of those and be a tester? I really, really like the ones I've got right now, but could they be better? And what else can they do? Like, I'm hoping maybe the next iteration, someone will give us 2 Ethernet ports. The solution would be to just get a small Ethernet switch, which needs a power cable and run the Ethernet cable from the back of the PC to the switch, and then from the switch out to the KVM and out to the computer. And a small switch is probably $10. They're not expensive. I just don't want to deal with all the cabling and power lines separate from everything else. It gets a little hairy with the cables. I'd much prefer if it could have a little built-in switch. That would be so convenient. Obviously, the device will get more expensive as they add more hardware. It will have to get physically larger. But also when the next processors come out, that makes it faster. You get more storage, and the whole thing becomes more responsive and more I want to say user-friendly. It's actually pretty user-friendly right now. I don't really have a problem with the interface, but I do think reliability goes up, compatibility goes up, performance goes up, and the price really isn't going up. So I just wanted to put that out there for you. And Barry said, just to be clear, becoming a streaming junkie is not a complaint. I've been a streaming junkie for some time. But since nobody else on YouTube is talking about this, I want to be the first. I think I was late to the game when it came to ordering the Jet KVM. I was certainly late to the game with the Nano KVM because the way it just looks like a cheap piece of plastic. And I don't know, I was just skeptical if this thing is real or even worth playing with beyond a toy. And then, of course, the Comet KVM from GLINet. We've used and are familiar with GLINet. We've never heard of Jet KVM. I've never heard of sipeed. So I was very confident when I pre-ordered the Comet that that was a real product I was going to get. However, the Jet KVM arrived first. And after I've used it, I will tell you the Jet KVM is absolutely the most responsive one that I have, and it's made of metal. Everything else, actually, I think the Comet's made of metal, but the Comet doesn't have a screen, and the Comet requires separate power. It won't run off USB power, so at least if it does, I haven't figured that out. So the Jet KVM is smaller, it's all solid metal, and I tried to order more, and they're not opening up US shipping again. I don't see any reason why. The tariff situation has been sorted for the next 90 days, and that may become permanent. I don't know what their delay is. Maybe they're just going to put it on Amazon, and they're waiting on that to go through. In the meantime, I still fall back to the Nano KVM time and time again because it's more usable in the sense that it's got that flash storage, much more so than Jet KVM or Comet KVM. And Comet already does 4K, but you know, I'm not a big fan of 4K because I can't see it. Everything's too tiny. But it's nice to have it if you want it. All right. So for me, the Comet from GLINet is the least of my favorite. You know, it's all the way at the bottom of my favorites. The Jet KVM right now is at the top for build quality and performance. I also like the screen quality on it. But the Nano KVM is the one I end up using the most. So explain this, because its usability, despite it's a little more laggy, it's very, very usable for me. I also don't like that you have to take the thing apart to get to the reset button. I haven't had to use the reset button, but our friend Doug Betts over at Live Windows Training with Doug Betts had to use his. And it's a shame you have to take the whole thing apart to get to it. There is a little reset hole, but the reset hole goes this way, and the button you need to press is below it. I think it's below it. So I don't know if you can bend the little reset pin up or down to make contact with that, but you can definitely easily take it apart. It is just a 3D printed case. All of that should be improved now, should be, but I'm not going to be late to the game this time. No, no, no. This time I want to be first. So since pre-orders open today, I don't want to wait until things are sold out and go, oh, I wish I would have ordered it. In the Jet KVM, I would have ordered more of them, but I can't get them. I recently sent a Nano KVM to my brother out of state so I could update his BIOS and turn on Secure Boot, and it worked like a charm. So basically, I just had him take the... the Nano KVM doesn't come with an HDMI cable. That's the other thing, which I thought was weird, and I just order a short HDMI cable, a thin one, which, by the way, is much better than the HDMI cable that comes with the Comet. Is thick and inflexible. It's heavy, and yeah, I don't care for it. So for $6 or $7, I just get an HDMI cable that supports 4K regardless. It's super thin, very lightweight. But the Nano KVM does not include an HDMI cable, and the others do. That's a weird one. What does this Nano KVM Pro going to include? I'm not exactly sure yet, but if I have to buy an HDMI cable, so be it. But anyway, I just ordered from Amazon, so I didn't have to pay for a box or shipping. I ordered from Amazon, had it sent directly to my brother. He opens the package. He's got two packages. He's got the cable that I sent him and the Nano KVM. The whole thing cost me $80. It would have cost me so much more in gas to drive out there and do this. Have him just plug the HDMI cable into the back of the Nano, have him plug one of the USB cables the Nano includes into the back of the Nano below the HDMI cable, and that provides keyboard and mouse as well as power to the Nano KVM. Then have him just unplug his monitor from the back of the computer, unplug the internet from the back of the computer, and plug it into the Nano. Then take the HDMI, plug it back from the Nano into where the monitor was plugged in, and the USB cord out of the Nano into any available USB port. He does not need to unplug anything else. As soon as he does that, in order for me to get access to it, I simply logged into another computer he has, and from that computer, opened up a browser on his network. I could also configure tailscale, which is an awesome, secure way to remote in without any subscription fees, without any services. It's completely unrelated to Nano KVM, but it's built in as an option. And I use tailscale for all the Synologies that I maintain, and I no longer have to go to my customers' locations to do backups anymore. I can now do that over a virtual network. It's a lot slower, but it's seamless and it's free and it's secure. And the reason I had not turned that on before, like with Synology services, is I didn't want to create a Synology account and I didn't want to open a door to the internet, because if you put a door in, no matter how you lock it, at some point somebody can break that door down. So with tailscale, that issue is gone and there's no cost. So the fact that I'm already using it, I'm already familiar with it, and they've implemented it into the Nano KVM means what I could have done as an option is I could have configured the Nano KVM, ordered it, got it in, set up my tailscale account on it, then put it back in the box and then send it to my brother. Then when he plugs it in, I could access it from another state. But I didn't want to double up on the shipping, right? I'm getting free shipping from Amazon, and Amazon's faster. Let Amazon send that right to him. Once I can remote in on the same network from another computer, I could still set up the tailscale account at that point. So it does require, in this scenario, being on a small network, just having a second computer basically on the network. Otherwise, I would also have to include like a small network switch, and then he'd have to plug that in, and things start getting a little bit complicated. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you because I'm super excited about it. If you're thinking about it, don't think about it. Don't wait. This is super exciting stuff, and I'm excited to see pre-orders are open this early. So I knew they said it would be about a month, but they actually are ahead of schedule. And I was secretly thinking they're being optimistic and we won't see these pre-orders for 6 or 8 weeks. Here they are. So that's a great way for me to have a Friday. I've got mine on order. As soon as I get them in, we'll do reviews on them. If anything, I expect them to just be building on what we're already familiar with. I don't expect it to be any worse. I expect it to be the same, but better as the Nano KVM. Is that what it'll be? We'll wait and find out. But for the price, it's a hell of a deal. And before Trump changes his mind again with the tariffs, get my order in. And then hopefully in July, we'll have it here and we'll be one of the earliest YouTube reviewers, I hope. But nonetheless, I'm super excited just personally, minus YouTube, just to get it and play with it. And then, of course, when we get any information regarding the Comet KVM from GLINet being sold outside of pre-order, and or when Jet KVM starts shipping back to the United States, whether that's through Amazon or whether they're accepting orders, it's frustrating because on Kickstarter, I can see they have 35 units left that they're not selling them. And there's so many people trying to buy them in the US. So I don't know when their next production run is, but presumably that would be for professional retail outside of the whole Kickstarter thing. But it looks like about 3,500 units are just sitting there that until Jet KVM figures out how they're going to get it to the US, it's killing me. It's not like they don't have them. And it's not like the tariffs are undecided. It's all been solved. So I don't understand the delay. When they make up their mind, I will let you know as soon as I know, in case you want the Jet KVM, or in case you want the Comet. The Comet is also still a pre-order, I believe. And of those, like I said, I most like the Jet KVM. I most use the Nano KVM. I'm not a fan of the Comet. It's still good. It's just not as good, in my opinion, for my needs. And I'm super excited to see the Nano KVM Pro. And I want to share that with you, my enthusiasm. And it's cheap, you know, for what computers cost and what everything costs. My monthly internet costs more than this box. That's going to wrap it up for me. Thank you for joining me for the second alert video. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a happy and safe Memorial Day. Until next time, bye for now.